Hello and welcome back to anybody joining us for a second time or a third time, and welcome to any newcomers. Today I was out on a run. We were back in the car today because it started raining while I was on a run. If the rain clears up, then I may take the video back outside, but I figured go ahead and start recording. Why is this car creeping up on me? Am I about to get shot? Let's see, you see that car? It was creeping. But might take it back outside if the rain lets up. But as of right now, I'm just gonna go in the car. Got a few things to talk about today. I wrote down some more cohesive notes so that I can better explain what I'm thinking. I thought that maybe I could do it with just bullet points and whatnot after a run, but I like to excuse me. I like to do these after runs because I feel like I'm my best self right after a good workout. But I do find that I have a hard time trying to remember all the things that I want to talk about, so I made some notes today. First, we'll do a little gratitude as we typically start these episodes out doing. Today, short and sweet, I am grateful that I have food in my belly, I have a place to live, I have air in my lungs. And as long as I have those things, I will find a good time. I've realized that happiness just comes from within inside. So as long as you have, those things, you pretty much got it, man. I'm rich in life. I'm rich in life because I have those things. And I also have good friends and family. That asking for much more than that in life and you're getting selfish. You know what I mean? Let's see. First order of business today is that we have not officially had the testing done to see whether or not Matthew McConaughey is my biological father. I simply don't wear a shirt unless I have to. And I think that I think that's a sign enough. I'll keep a shirt with me. Today, we've got the Indiana Fever t-shirt. Shout out to the squad. But I just keep one on me in case I have to go in a store or something. Other than that, I don't see the necessity. Second order of business today is that it is Sunday, and that means it is NASCAR day, baby. And we will be watching tonight Chase Briscoe. Keep up with it. If you can, tune in, support him, post something nice, do whatever. I always say this to people out here. Anytime we're watching NASCAR or I bring them up or something, I always say that I remember when Steve Grissom, it was my 7th grade year, so I would have been probably 12 or 13 years old, and I think it would have been probably 2013. He invited Chase Briscoe to come in as a guest speaker for our class. And Chase came in and showed us kind of a highlight reel of his racing. The song, like the backtrack of it, was Sail by AWOL Nation. I don't think I'll ever forget it because he came in and he basically told us about how his car was broke and he needed to save up some money to fix it, and he didn't know exactly how he was gonna get it done, but he knew he was gonna get it done. And he basically just gave us an ultimate, don't give up on yourself speech. And it was just so gnarly. And I think that Chase Briscoe should be a North Star for any big dreamers from small places, and I'll tell you why. I took some notes here. In 2013, he came to the class and he gave us that speech. By 2017, he was doing his first full-time season in the Truck Series NASCAR. Now, I'm not like deep in NASCAR. I keep up with it just to support him, really. And so I don't know what any of that really means, to be honest with you. But he was racing with NASCAR for his first full-time season by 2017. That was 4 years after he told us that he didn't know how he was going to get it done, but he was going to get it done. By 2019, 2 years after that, he was racing in the Xfinity Series. By 2021, he was in the top tier Cup Series, and as of right now, last season he made it into the playoffs, the NASCAR playoffs, which again I don't understand how any of that works, but good for him. When you look at the NASCAR video game, he's ranked number 7th overall. So we're talking about a top 10 racer according to the NASCAR video game. And this is all in 2026, but he was racing at the top tier Cup Series by 21. Now, question, whatever you're chasing, whatever you believe in, okay, what if somebody came along and told you, you know, at any time that you were thinking about giving up, what if they came along and told you, hey, you're only 4 years away from making it? You know, you're only 4 years away from doing this professionally. Or you're only 6 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years away from doing this professionally. You know, I mean, would you give up? You know, I mean, how much time and effort and all that would you be willing to sacrifice to make it? You know, I mean, I truly believe that the only thing different between somebody who has made it and somebody who has not made it is the willingness to keep going. You know, I think that's it. I think we're all very, very like special and very, very capable of doing whatever, but the only difference is the people that go out and they don't let fear control what they do. They don't let doubt creep in, and they go out and they believe in themselves and they don't give up. I think that's the only difference. Now, that being said, there has been some ups and downs in Mr. Briscoe's career. He was driving for, I think it was Tony Stewart's Racing, I think, but he was driving for somebody's race team, right? And then eventually that team decided they were going to disband. I believe this is the story. So then that kind of leaves him in this little bit of limbo, like, hey, what do I do now? You know, is somebody gonna pick me up? Is this it? What's going on? And, you know, then somebody did eventually pick him up, and then his career has only went up from there. So, you know, in these moments of doubt, finding, you know, persistence and finding, you know, a way to stay positive and keep going, you don't know how life is going to go. I look at his career and following the ups and the lows that I know about, and I'm sure there's some that I don't know about, you know, but as far as the ones I know about, it reminds me of this like little story I heard about this Chinese farmer. And the story goes that there's an old man and his son, and they're these Chinese farmers, and they're in these radish fields, but the old man has decided he's, you know, too old to do this. The son's kind of got to go out and tend to the field himself. So the old man's in there, son's out in the field with the horse, and, you know, turning up the soil so they can plant these radishes. Well, all of a sudden, thing breaks, you know, and then and the horse takes off, right? Son runs in, tells his dad, the horse took off, you know, we're so poor we can barely make ends meet, you know, that's our only way, you know, of surviving. If I gotta turn this all up by hand, you know, we're screwed, you know, we're done for, it's over. And his father looks at him and he says, you know, son, I don't know what this is. You know, I can't call it. Just go out and do your best to start turning it up by hand. Son goes out there, and for days he's turning this land up by hand. It's not looking good for him, you know. He knows that there's no way they're gonna get, you know, anything out of this, but he just keeps working at it. Well, on that third day, up over the hill, he sees the horse run back. And then along with the horse is 50 stallions, right? They come running up over the horse. That horse leads them all into the barn. This kid closes the door real quick. He runs in, he tells his dad, Dad, this is great. We don't have to be radish farmers anymore. You know, we're in the horsing business. We're gonna make so much money. Life has turned around for us. This is so great. You know, and his dad looks at him and he says, you know, I don't know what this is, son. I can't call it. But just go out and do your best to try to break these horses in, you know, domesticate them a little bit to where we can sell them. So kid goes out there and he spends the next couple weeks trying to break these horses in, and he gets a few and things are looking good, and you know, he's all giddy and excited, and one day he's out there and he starts trying to break in this horse that's really giving him some issues. This horse butts him off. Next thing you know, this guy breaks his leg. He's out, done for. Take him inside. He's like, I don't know what we're gonna do, Dad. You know, I mean, I've broken enough horses that we can get by for a little bit, but you know, we're not gonna survive. You know, we're SOL. We're done. We're toast. This is it. Pack it up. And his dad looks at him and he says, you know, I don't know what this is. I can't call it. You know, but just focus on resting and getting your leg feeling better, and we'll figure this out. You know, just keep going. Well, all of a sudden, you know, next week, a bunch of these Chinese warriors come rolling through, you know, their little farmstead, and you know, they come in and they tell them, hey, you know, you gotta give us anybody that's fit to fight. You know, we're going over and we're gonna take these guys out over here, this neighboring village, and we need anybody that's fit to fight. He points at his son. He said, you know, I mean, hey, last week this guy broke his leg. You know, he's not fit to fight. He can't go with you guys. I'm sorry. Well, he says, all right, we can't take him. And every one of those guys goes to the neighboring village and they get slaughtered, you know. And that's the end of the story, right? So, like, basically, the point of it, obviously, is that when you think this is it, and you're toast and you're done for, you know, it's the same thing like this too shall pass. You know, you think you're toast, you're done for, it's over. You don't know, man. You can't call it. You don't know what the timeline's gonna look like. It might get worse. You know, you might be here thinking it's awful, and then you get down here, and then you bounce up here. You know, you don't know where life's gonna take you. So you think you're down and out. Hey, man, this too shall pass. You know, and then you think you're on top of the world, you're riding high, you know, hey, life's gonna take you down at some point, you know, I mean, so just enjoy where you're at, I suppose, would be the best thing that I get from it, is enjoy where you're at and just keep going, you know where you want to go, know where you're headed, just enjoy where you're at and keep going. And I find some similarities in the way that Mr. Briscoe has handled his career and the hiccups that he's faced, and in the way that, you know, that story plays out. I think that's pretty much all I have to say about Mr. Briscoe. Other than that, let's go number 19, Tonight. Usually whenever I'm on here talking, I talk about all the good things that are going on in my life, and truth be told, it is mostly good things. So I mean, I'm blessed for that, but I think it's important to take time to note, you know, anytime, you know, just to be vulnerable, to share the human experience. And sometimes you know, I don't find myself to be a sad person. I'm not a sad guy. I have moments of sadness, but you know, I take it, I feel it, I sit with it, I become friends with it, and then I let it go. You know, it doesn't serve me in any way. But the other night I was kind of out and about, and you know, I just noticed something about myself. So I thought I'd share just my thoughts on this. But I noticed that, you know, whenever I talk to people back home, you know, whether it's my friends or my family or whatever, I try to kind of bring them with me. You know, I got out, I saw some really cool things, and those are things that I want them to see. And then I have this way of thinking and belief and kind of delusional optimism going on. And, you know, I want them to feel that. You know, I want them to feel excited about life too. So I have this thing where I'm trying to take everybody with me on the journey that I'm on, but I need to understand that everybody has their own journey, and that we can't all be on the same one, and not everybody wants to be on the same one. You know, and it's an especially hard thing for me because at the end of the day, why it bothers me so much, or why it kind of like hurts a little, is because I know that the life I envision for myself and the choices I have to make to get there take me further and further away from these people that I love and these people that have gotten me here. And that sucks. You know, it kind of realizing that the people that you used to see every day, you know, your parents, your friends, your family, you know, even your old like school like mates or whatever, like it was kind of sad like finishing high school, because, you know, even if you weren't close with every single person, these were people that you've seen every single day. Like, you knew these people, and then knowing that you weren't going to get that opportunity to see everybody anymore, like that, you know, that's a tough feeling sometimes. So, you know, I mean, I was sitting there thinking about that, and then that kind of segues into my next thing. But that was an important thing that I've kind of learned recently, is that I need to just, you know, support everybody's journey, you know, not just what aligns with what my journey is or what I think somebody's journey should be. Just, you know, be happy for people, man. But there's a song that I kind of relate to a little bit, and I think it kind of explores the duality of chasing your dreams and the feelings that come with that. You know, like chasing your dreams and chasing your passions can lead to a lot of fulfillment and a lot of like excitement in your life, but it can also lead to a lot of feelings that you're not used to having. This is a rap song by a man that goes by the name Tyler, the Creator. It's on an album called Call Me If You Get Lost, the estate sale version. But there's a verse on there that says, "I'm sorry I don't see you more. I'm sorry that the 4 minutes you see your son can feel like a chore. Sis, I'm sorry I'm your kin. Sorry we ain't as close as we should have been. Sorry to my old friends, the stories we could have wrote if our egos didn't take the pen." And I think that's kind of like a profound thing and something I relate to a lot. When it says, I'm sorry that the 4 minutes you see your son can feel like a chore. You know, sometimes I'm working night shift, and sometimes there's only a few minutes out of the week that I get to call, you know, my mom or, you know, some family back home. And sometimes, you know, it's just 10 minutes of me just talking my stuff, you know, because sometimes life just gets me so excited, or, you know, I did something that I thought I couldn't, you know, achieve at a certain point in my life, and, you know, I'm just really full of myself sometimes. And, you know, I could see where that could be like kind of like a chore, you know what I mean? So like in that sense, or like in the sense of like sometimes, you know, just energies aren't syncing up. So sometimes it's just a small time that we get to spend together, But at the end of it, I don't feel like I used the time wisely, or that's pretty much, I use the time wisely. Says, sis, I'm sorry I'm your kin. Sorry we ain't as close as we should have been. I don't have sisters, but I got 4 brothers, and, 3 of them I haven't really gotten to see other than here and there since like 2015, 2016, somewhere in there. I really think it was 2016, but I don't know. And so when I hear that, I think about that, and I'm like, dang, I'm sorry that we're not as close as we should have been. Now that's something that, like, overall isn't my fault, but truth be told, every now and again I do have feelings of guilt. Like, do I not reach out enough? Have I let life get so busy that I'm not, like, checking up enough? That sort of stuff. But I don't know, man. It's hard. It's hard to live your life and be able to stay super connected to everybody. And it wasn't until recently that everybody was this connected. It used to be that you couldn't access everybody so much. So, you were a little more spaced out, and you could only catch up on certain occasions. So anyway, I think about that. Sorry to my old friends, the stories that we could have wrote if our egos didn't take the pen. That one, pretty self-explanatory. But for me, when you're in a situation, it's easier to keep these feelings of, like, animosity, or these feelings of, it's easier to hold grudges, right? When you're still living in a bubble. But for me, getting away from all that and being removed from that life, there's a lot of people that I consider friends. There's a lot of people that I think back on, and I'm thinking, oh, sorry, sorry that was our experience. Now that I'm removed from that situation, I understand. Hey, hold on, ma. But now that I'm removed from that situation, I understand that, none of that stuff is all that big of a deal. So there's that. There's a line that says, I can't save people. I'm not Superman, but I could try. And I think I relate to that one, and it kind of relates back to what I was just talking about, getting on this path in my journey, and having these things that open my eyes and whatnot, and wanting everybody to come out and be able to feel that and be able to, whatever. So kind of seeing myself as like, oh, I want to save these people, but you can't do that. But also, like, how kind of crazy to look and think people need saving. Like, everybody's on their own journey in life, everybody figures out things in their own time. So it's kind of annoying to try to be nagging at people, and that's what I'm realizing, is I'm being a little annoying. So then where it comes into the duality is those feelings in the beginning of the song that he's expressing are like the ones that kind of make him uncomfortable, and the ones are like where he's like, oh, these are some of the sort of negative side effects of chasing your passion and going out and doing your thing in life. But then on the last, like, couple verses of the song, he's like talking about the good feelings that come with it. And this is a verse of that, where he says, sorry that the talent, knowledge, passion isn't missing. Sorry that when I talk my shit, I can back it up with confidence and get you bitches tripping. Pardon my language. F the numbers, F a hook. You put me on a stage and I'll show you the difference. Let me see y'all hit a stage. Let me see y'all write a page. Let me see you make a decision that I made. Now, listen. After a comedy set that goes really well, and, like, you leave and you're like, wow, that killed. Like for me, that's the feeling I get. That's the feeling I get, is just so much like confidence and like full of myself. Like, yo, I'm out here, I took a chance, I really am on that, you know? And so sometimes it can be seen as pretentious, and it can be seen as, you know, boastful or whatever. But again, I'm talking my shit because I impress myself. You know what I mean? I set goals for myself. I go out, hit those goals, and you want me to be quiet about it? To make you feel more comfortable? I'm good on that, because I'm not humble, but I'm not in your face saying that I'm better than you. I do not believe I'm better than you at all. I don't believe anybody is better than anybody. I believe we are all capable of going out and get what we want. But when I'm going out and getting what I want, I will let everybody know about it. And I will be celebratory about it. Because I'm living a life that I once thought was not possible. If you would have told me that I was doing the things I'm doing now, and I'm not doing anything spectacular, I'm not big wig at all, I'm doing open mics. You know, I am not by any sense of the word on paper successful. But to me, I'm successful because I'm going out and chasing my dreams, something I put off for years, something I was unwilling to, you know, dive into. Anyway, I don't believe that anybody should have to be humble to make anybody else feel better about themselves. I think you, all of us, anybody watching, should go out, do your thing, and when you do your thing, let people know. You don't have to let them know, like, look what I did, look what you can't do, because everybody can, you know, like, we're all on an equal playing field special. But realizing how special you are and then going out and doing it, that's a whole thing, you know? And that leads me to my next thing. It literally says, no need to be humble. So I don't believe that you need to be humble. I don't think you need to be braggadocious on anybody else, you know, like saying that you're better than, but recognizing how special you are and talking your talk, do that. I love seeing that. But if you're gonna talk it, make sure you can back it up too. You know, make sure the stuff you're saying, you got receipts, because that's a good feeling too. If somebody tries to pull your card and you go, oh yeah, XYZ, ba. Now, I'm tired of hearing people say, oh, you want to do this, oh, you want to do that. Well, you know, people that do that have a 1 in a million shot. I got an experiment for you. I have an experiment for you. Go out, grab 1 million people and see if you find another me. Grab 10 million people, see if you find another me. Grab another person on the planet and see if you find another me. So what are you talking about 1 in a million? Because we're all like 1 in however many heckin' people are on the planet. What would make you think that you're not special? You know, what would make you think that you couldn't go out and do it? Like when people say that, I say, well, what makes you think I'm not 1 in a million? And I'm not saying that I'm 1 in a million and everybody else is a part of the whatever. What makes you think you're not 1 in a million? Like actually, why would you believe that you're not 1 in a million? Why would you believe that you're not special? Why would you let whatever, like, brainwash you into thinking you're not absolutely perfect? Get the heck out of my face with that. So just believe in yourself, and when you're out there really doing it, talk your stuff and know that you're 1 in a million, man. I have questions questions. I want to know what people's favorite albums are. If there's any albums you find perfect start to finish. I've got 2. Mine are Staying at Tamara's by George Ezra, came out in 2019, and Cleopatra by the Lumineers, came out in 2016. Fun fact, both of those albums were shown to me by Stefan Brazel. Shaped a good chunk of my music taste when I was in high school. I thought he was the bee's knees in high school. I still think he's the bee's knees. And definitely one of my biggest inspirations in life. Top 3 for sure. Another inspiration of mine, something that I've kind of like a way of thinking that has helped me get pretty excited about life, is letting one of my inspirations be myself. You know, my future self, myself in a year, in 5 years, in 10 years, in 50 years. You know, what does that look like? I'll sit there sometimes and I think to myself, well, who do I want that person to be? What does that look like? And I'll name the attributes, I'll name the characteristics, I'll name the things that that person's doing. And I'll think to myself, okay, well, what do I have to do today? What small steps can I do today and over the next days and over the next weeks and years that can lead up to that and get me to that point? And that keeps me excited. You know, that keeps me excited. It keeps me chasing something. It keeps me chasing a version of myself that I know I will never achieve, because that version of myself I will always be stepping into, and then that future version of myself will always be changing. And I think that's beautiful. I think that's pretty similar to what Matthew McConaughey said in his Oscar speech. So again, another reason why, you know, he could potentially be my biological father. I just don't know. To wrap this up, I've got a poem that I would like to share with you guys. This is called Lucky Enough. It is the title track, the opening track of an album called The Great American Bar Scene by Zach Bryan, one of my favorite artists. This is the opening poem. If I'm lucky enough, I'll see fogs lift with suns as we roll to play a show in Carolina, Oklahoma, or Chicago. I'll grow to know the road to home in places far away. Wrinkled, bald, and beat the shit to never waste a day. Enough people will hate me that I know I did it right, but to never meet a human being that I say I don't like. Let me learn the hard way and cut it close sometimes. The youth is the attic chest where every lesson lies. I'll have kids and teach them that we are all the same, suffering, smiling silhouettes of every passing day. The love I have will always be something my friends yearn. My memories were never cheap and never easy earned. I hope to choke on Jack and Coke in a bar in northern winter, on a night the band was tight and right as rooftops lights flicker. If I'm lucky enough, I'll understand losing someone close. I'll clench my teeth on New Year's Eve and try to talk to ghosts. I'll stumble through a market on a Sunday in June, smell the salt and asphalt on a Sunday afternoon. I reckon I'd be lucky if I made it half as far. To die on hills that are closest to my heart. If I'm lucky enough, notebooks will be strewn across my room. I'll play catch on green grass where springtime flowers bloom. Now, here's where this is my favorite part of it. If I'm lucky enough, I'll tell the truth every chance that I get, 'cause smiles faked to appease another is worth 10 regrets. If I'm lucky enough, I will get through hard things and they will make me gentle to the ways of the world. If I'm lucky enough, I'll have the courage to leave and go wherever my beating heart tells me to go. That's my favorite little passage of that. But it continues, it says, if I'm lucky enough, I'll get high and invite a guitar player over and he'll play sweet notes until a New York City rooftop sun rises. I'll meet some kids at school that still know how to play instruments. If I'm lucky enough, I will make it to exactly where I'm taking this breath now, lay my head upon the earth, and laugh at passing clouds. If I'm lucky enough, I'll remember the shaky things we've seen, grab your beer through tears and fears, the great American bar scene. That's it. I'm not going to tell you what to think or how to feel about that one. I just liked it. Thought I'd share it with you. If you made it this far, if you joined for any little bit of this, whatever, tuned in at all, supported, liked, commented, subscribed, anything, all that, I love it. I appreciate it. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Know how powerful you are. Know how capable you are. Believe in yourself. Don't care about other people's opinions. Just follow your heart and go for it.